The year was 1861. America, once a beacon of unity, found itself teetering on the brink of civil war. Slavery had driven a deep wedge between the North and the South. Tensions escalated, gripping the hearts of many. The upcoming presidential election held the power to determine the Union's fate. In November 1860, Abraham Lincoln emerged victorious. His election ignited a firestorm of controversy. Southern states viewed his presidency as an existential threat. The idea of secession echoed loudly through the South. As Lincoln prepared for leadership, the nation held its breath. Lincoln's journey to Washington was not merely a ceremonial procession. It was a treacherous undertaking fraught with danger. The president-elect's every move was scrutinized, his words dissected, and his safety far from guaranteed. The specter of violence loomed large, casting a long shadow over the nation's capital. Baltimore, a city riven by divided loyalties, emerged as a focal point of concern. Its strategic location along Lincoln's planned route, coupled with the presence of ardent secessionists, made it a hotbed of potential unrest. Rumors of assassination plots swirled through the city, fueling an atmosphere of anxiety and suspicion. The gravity of the situation was not lost on Lincoln's advisors, who urged him to exercise extreme caution. They understood that the stakes could not be higher. The fate of the Union, the future of democracy, and the very life of the president-elect hung precariously in the balance. Amidst this backdrop of uncertainty and fear, a clandestine operation was set in motion. A group of dedicated individuals, led by the enigmatic Allan Pinkerton, would risk their lives to protect Lincoln and ensure his safe passage to Washington. Their mission to outwit, outmaneuver, and outsmart those who sought to plunge the nation into chaos.
I was a Scottish immigrant with a steely gaze and an unwavering determination. A former abolitionist, I dedicated my life to fighting injustice.
In 1850, Pinkerton founded his detective agency in Chicago. Known for innovative methods in solving complex cases, his approach was revolutionary. He developed a vast network of informants. A master of disguise, he infiltrated criminal organizations. The plot to assassinate Lincoln in Baltimore was a carefully orchestrated conspiracy involving Southern sympathizers. They believed Lincoln's death would strike a blow for the Southern cause. As Lincoln's train made its way through Baltimore, assassins would lie in wait. Allan Pinkerton and his team of operatives uncovered the plot. Time was of the essence. The fate of the nation hung in the balance.
The air hung heavy with tension as I arrived in Baltimore, a city shrouded in an unsettling calm. Discretion was paramount. Every shadow seemed to hold a potential threat.
Pinkerton, a master of blending in, moved through the bustling crowds, his keen eyes observing. His first order of business was to establish a base of operations. He chose a discreet hotel, its unassuming facade concealing a hive of activity within. Here, Pinkerton began to piece together the puzzle of the Baltimore plot.
My network of informants proved invaluable. They possessed a deep understanding of the city's undercurrents.
As reports from his informants poured in, a chilling picture began to emerge. The conspiracy ran deeper than he had initially anticipated. Among Pinkerton's trusted operatives, one stood out for her exceptional skills and unwavering loyalty: Kate Warne, the first female detective in America. Warne, a woman of remarkable intelligence and resourcefulness, had proven her mettle time and again, shattering societal expectations and demonstrating an uncanny ability to navigate the dangerous world of espionage.
Pinkerton knew that my unique talents would be crucial to unraveling the Baltimore plot. My disarming charm and ability to move effortlessly among different social circles made me the perfect candidate for undercover work. I could elicit information from unsuspecting individuals, blend into crowds without raising suspicion, and gain access to places where men would be instantly noticed.
Warne embraced the challenge with her characteristic fearlessness. She understood the gravity of the situation and the importance of their mission. Disguises became her armor, her sharp wit, her weapon. She infiltrated social gatherings frequented by Southern sympathizers, her keen eyes observing, her ears attuned to any whispers of the plot against Lincoln.
My ability to gain the trust of those around me proved invaluable. I befriended the wives and daughters of suspected conspirators, subtly extracting information without arousing suspicion. These seemingly innocuous conversations provided Pinkerton with crucial insights into the inner workings of the conspiracy. revealing the identities of key players and the chilling details of their plan.
As Pinkerton and his team delved deeper into the conspiracy, the urgency of their mission intensified. Time was of the essence, and every piece of intelligence gathered brought them closer to understanding the true scope of the threat against Lincoln. Pinkerton, a master strategist, devised a plan to infiltrate the inner circle of the conspirators.
One of my operatives, Timothy Webster, played a pivotal role in this dangerous game of deception. Posing as a Southern gentleman, Webster gained the trust of several key figures in the conspiracy.
The risks were immense. Discovery would mean certain death, but Webster remained undeterred. As Lincoln's arrival in Baltimore neared, the city crackled with tension. Normally bustling streets felt subdued, thick with anticipation. Divided loyalties simmered, threatening to erupt into violence. Baltimore, caught between North and South, faced a volatile situation. Southern sympathizers clashed with Union loyalists. The streets became a battleground of ideologies. Pinkerton's operatives, shrouded in secrecy, added complexity. Their presence cast a long shadow over Baltimore. As time ticked by, the fate of Lincoln and the nation hung in the balance. Each tick of the clock echoed with urgency in the makeshift war room. Maps lined the walls, dotted with pins representing Lincoln's perilous route. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily upon Pinkerton.
Sleep is a luxury I can't afford. My mind sifts through the intel, seeking any overlooked detail.
Whispered reports painted a grim picture. The assassins were in place. Every instinct screamed at Pinkerton to act. But such a move could light a powder keg. Baltimore could erupt into violence, jeopardizing Lincoln's safety. Pinkerton needed a plan to outfox the assassins and safeguard Lincoln. As dawn painted the Baltimore sky in hues of uncertainty, a plan began to crystallize in Pinkerton's mind. It was a risky gambit, a high-stakes gamble that required absolute secrecy, unwavering trust, and a healthy dose of audacity. He gathered his closest operatives, their faces etched with fatigue but their eyes burning with steely determination.
The heart of our plan lies in deception, in turning the assassins' own confidence against them. Lincoln will arrive in Baltimore ahead of schedule under the cover of darkness, his movements cloaked in secrecy. The telegraph lines, the conspirators' lifeline of communication, will be strategically severed, plunging them into darkness and confusion.
To further safeguard Lincoln, Pinkerton proposed a disguise, a simple yet effective ruse to shield the president-elect from prying eyes. Lincoln would travel incognito, his tall frame hunched, his face hidden beneath the brim of a hat, blending into the shadows as an ordinary traveler. The plan was met with a mixture of apprehension and admiration. It was a daring move, fraught with risk, but it offered their only chance of success. Each operative understood the gravity of the situation, the potential consequences of failure. They were prepared to risk everything to protect Lincoln, their loyalty to him and to the ideals he represented unwavering. Convincing Lincoln of the gravity of the situation proved to be a challenge in itself. The president-elect, a man of unwavering faith and a deep-seated belief in the inherent goodness of people, initially dismissed the reports of an assassination plot as mere rumors, the work of overzealous supporters.
Mr. Lincoln, I assure you, the evidence is irrefutable. My operatives have gathered detailed accounts, and we've intercepted chilling whispers from the conspirators themselves. The danger awaiting you in Baltimore is very real.
Lincoln, a man of reason and logic, couldn't ignore the mounting evidence. He reluctantly agreed to follow Pinkerton's plan, acknowledging the very real threat to his life and the potential chaos that his assassination could unleash upon the nation. It was a bitter pill to swallow, this realization that his journey to the presidency would be paved with such danger.
All right, Mr. Pinkerton, I trust your judgment. The stakes are too high to take any unnecessary risks.
Despite his initial reluctance, Lincoln placed his trust in Pinkerton, recognizing the detective's unwavering commitment to his safety. It was a bond forged in the crucible of crisis, a shared understanding of the immense stakes involved. Lincoln, the president-elect, and Pinkerton, the detective, stood united in their determination to outmaneuver those who sought to tear the nation apart. Under the cloak of darkness, Lincoln, his tall frame disguised beneath an unassuming overcoat and a soft-brimmed hat pulled low over his brow, slipped out of his hotel room in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He moved with an air of quiet determination, his face betraying a hint of the turmoil brewing within.
Stay close, Mr. Lincoln. We must maintain the illusion. You're my ailing brother, and I'm your concerned sister.
Accompanying him on this clandestine journey was Kate Warne, her sharp eyes scanning their surroundings, her hand never straying far from the small pistol concealed beneath her shawl. She maintained the illusion of a concerned sister accompanying her ailing brother, her demeanor a study in calm composure. The train journey was a tense affair, every whistle stop, every flickering gaslight casting long shadows that played tricks on the mind. Lincoln, despite his outward calm, couldn't shake the feeling of vulnerability, the knowledge that danger lurked just beyond the veil of darkness.
We're almost there, Miss Warne. I can feel it. Just a little longer.
As the train pulled into Baltimore, hours ahead of schedule, a palpable sense of relief washed over Lincoln. He had successfully navigated the most dangerous leg of his journey, thanks to Pinkerton's meticulous planning and the unwavering dedication of his operatives, but the danger was far from over. Baltimore, shrouded in the inky blackness of a moonless night, awaited Lincoln's arrival. The normally bustling streets, now eerily deserted, echoed with the clatter of the train wheels against the tracks. Lincoln, his tall frame hunched beneath his disguise, stepped off the train and into the unknown. He moved with a forced casualness, his every sense on high alert.
This way, Mr. Lincoln. The carriage is just ahead.
Awaiting him was a closed carriage, its driver a shadowy figure. As the carriage lurched forward, Lincoln felt a surge of adrenaline. The carriage driver, his face hidden beneath the brim of his hat, navigated the labyrinthine streets with practiced ease. He seemed to anticipate every turn, his movements swift and silent like a phantom gliding through the shadows. Inside, Lincoln sat in tense silence, his mind racing. He thought of his family, the weight of expectation, and the nation teetering on the brink of war.
Kate Warne, alert to every sound, maintained a reassuring presence beside Lincoln. She spoke in hushed tones, her hand never far from her concealed weapon.
The carriage rattled over cobblestone streets, the rhythmic clatter of hooves a counterpoint to the frantic beating of Lincoln's heart. The air inside the carriage was thick with tension.
Beside him, Kate Warne, her composure unwavering, served as his anchor. She spoke in hushed tones, offering words of reassurance, her hand never straying far from the pistol beneath her shawl.
The carriage driver navigated the labyrinthine streets with an almost supernatural intuition. He seemed to know every twist and turn, every hidden alleyway.
As the carriage lurched around a corner, Kate Warne's hand shot out, gripping Lincoln's arm. "Stay down," she whispered, "and don't make a sound."
Unbeknownst to Lincoln and Kate Warne, the men gathered in the street were members of Pinkerton's clandestine network, strategically placed along the carriage's route. They were the unseen eyes and ears of Pinkerton's operation, ensuring the safe passage of the president-elect through Baltimore. Disguised as dock workers, street vendors, and laborers, they moved with practiced ease. Whispered messages carried on the night air, their eyes scanning for danger.
The carriage driver, face hidden, acknowledged their presence with a subtle nod. Lincoln, peering out, felt gratitude for these unseen protectors, guardians of his safety.
While Lincoln navigated the shadowy streets of Baltimore, a different kind of drama was unfolding at the city's train station. The conspirators, their faces a mixture of anticipation and malice, mingled with the arriving passengers, their eyes scanning the crowd for any sign of their target. Their plan, so meticulously crafted, so confidently rehearsed, was about to unravel.
As the minutes turned into an hour, then two, with no sign of Lincoln's arrival, a palpable sense of unease settled over us. Whispers turned into hushed conversations, then into heated arguments. Doubts crept in, fueled by the unexpected delay and the lack of communication from our co-conspirators.
The telegraph lines, our lifeline to the outside world, remained stubbornly silent. Messages sent to our contacts in Harrisburg remained unanswered, adding to the growing sense of confusion and paranoia. We, once so confident in our plan, now found ourselves adrift, our carefully constructed world crumbling around us.
What they didn't know was that Pinkerton, anticipating their every move, had already outmaneuvered them. The telegraph lines had been cut, their messages intercepted, their network of informants infiltrated. The conspirators, blinded by their own hatred and arrogance, had walked straight into Pinkerton's trap. As dawn painted the sky in hues of rose and gold, Lincoln's carriage pulled into the train station in Washington, D.C. He emerged, his face etched with fatigue but his eyes shining with relief.
Kate Warne, her hand on the pistol concealed beneath her shawl, followed Lincoln, her face showing the strain of their journey.
News of Lincoln's safe arrival spread quickly through the capital, replacing tension with jubilation. The bustling streets of Washington, D.C. provided a stark contrast to the hushed tension of the carriage ride through Baltimore. Beneath the watchful gaze of the unfinished Capitol dome, a sense of cautious optimism permeated the air. The city buzzed with activity, its energy a tonic to Lincoln's weary spirit.
I found myself ensconced in Willard's Hotel, a grand edifice that had played host to presidents and dignitaries alike. Yet, the events of the past few days cast a long shadow.
In the quiet confines of a private room at Willard's Hotel, Allan Pinkerton delivered his report to Lincoln. The detective, his face etched with fatigue but his eyes sharp and alert, laid out the details of the Baltimore plot, his words measured, his tone devoid of drama yet imbued with a chilling gravity.
We have uncovered the identities of the conspirators, Mr. Lincoln. Their motives are now laid bare. Their plan, their movements, their contacts. I have left no stone unturned in assessing the threat they pose. Our network of informants has taken great risks and made significant sacrifices to ensure your safety.
Lincoln listened intently, his face a mask of concentration, absorbing every detail, every nuance of Pinkerton's report. The president-elect, a man of keen intellect and unwavering resolve, understood the gravity of the situation. He knew that the threat to his life was not an isolated incident, but a symptom of a deeper malaise afflicting the nation.
This report is a stark reminder, Mr. Lincoln, that the forces of division and the seeds of hatred have taken root deep within the American psyche. The conspirators, though apprehended, are merely the tip of the iceberg. The real challenge lies in confronting the underlying causes of this unrest and healing the wounds that threaten to tear our nation apart.
The weight of Pinkerton's revelations settled upon Lincoln's shoulders like a physical burden. The knowledge that there were those within his own country who sought to end his life, not for personal gain, but for ideological reasons, filled him with a profound sadness. It was a sobering reminder of the fragility of democracy, the ever-present danger posed by extremism and intolerance.
The events of the past few days have shaken me to my core, forcing me to confront the very real possibility of my own mortality. I think of Mary, of our young sons, and the future that hangs precariously in the balance.
Yet, amidst the fear and uncertainty, a steely resolve began to form within Lincoln. He had come too far, sacrificed too much to be deterred by threats or intimidation. The very act of targeting him, of attempting to silence his voice, had only strengthened his resolve to lead, to heal, to preserve the union that he held so dear.
I will not allow fear to dictate my actions or diminish my commitment to the principles that have guided my life. I will confront the challenges ahead with the same courage, the same compassion, and the same unwavering belief in the power of reason and reconciliation that has brought me to this pivotal moment in history.
The Baltimore plot served as a wake-up call, a stark reminder of the inadequate security measures in place to protect the president-elect. Lincoln, despite his personal reservations about appearing overly cautious, recognized the need for increased vigilance, for a more robust security detail capable of anticipating and thwarting potential threats.
With the successful foiling of the assassination attempt, my reputation has been enhanced. I have been tasked with overseeing Lincoln's security during the final days leading up to the inauguration. I will assemble a team of trusted operatives, their skills honed in the shadowy world of espionage and counterintelligence.
Security at Willard's Hotel was tightened, with Pinkerton's men stationed at every entrance, their eyes constantly scanning the crowds, their hands never straying far from their concealed weapons. Visitors were screened, their backgrounds checked, their movements monitored. Lincoln, though initially uncomfortable with the constant presence of armed guards, gradually came to accept the necessity of these precautions.
The streets surrounding the hotel will be patrolled day and night by uniformed police officers and plainclothes detectives. Carriage routes will be carefully planned with alternative routes mapped out in case of emergency. Every detail, no matter how seemingly insignificant, will be scrutinized, analyzed, and addressed with meticulous care. The safety of the president-elect has become a national priority, a matter of paramount importance.
As the day of Lincoln's inauguration approached, a palpable sense of anticipation, mixed with an undercurrent of anxiety, gripped the nation. The eyes of the world were upon Washington, D.C., their gaze fixed upon the man who would soon take the oath of office, the man who would inherit a nation on the brink of collapse. The city, adorned with flags and bunting, throbbed with a nervous energy. Crowds poured in from across the country, eager to witness history in the making. Military units marched through the streets, their presence a reminder of the very real threat of civil war that loomed over the proceedings. The threat of violence, though ever present, had not extinguished the flame of hope that flickered in the hearts of many. Lincoln, with his message of unity and reconciliation, represented a beacon of hope in a time of darkness, a symbol of the enduring strength of the American experiment. The inauguration ceremony itself was a carefully orchestrated affair, a delicate dance between tradition and security. Sharpshooters were positioned on rooftops, their rifles trained on the crowd. Pinkerton's operatives, their faces grim, their eyes constantly scanning for any sign of danger, formed a protective ring around the president-elect. On March 4, 1861, standing on a platform erected in front of the unfinished Capitol dome, Abraham Lincoln, his right hand raised, took the oath of office, his voice clear and steady as he uttered the words that would forever etch his name in the annals of history. His inaugural address, delivered under the watchful gaze of a nation on the brink, was a masterpiece of eloquence and political acumen. He spoke of the bonds that united North and South, of the shared history and common destiny that transcended their differences. He appealed to their better angels, urging them to turn away from the path of disunion and embrace the spirit of compromise and reconciliation. His words, imbued with both strength and compassion, resonated deeply with those who heard them. He offered no easy solutions, no magical cures for the deep divisions that plagued the nation, but he offered hope, a vision of a future where reason triumphed over passion, where unity prevailed over discord. The speech, though met with mixed reactions in a nation still deeply divided, marked a turning point in American history. It was a clarion call for unity, a plea for peace, a testament to the enduring power of words to heal, to inspire, and to shape the destiny of a nation. The echoes of Lincoln's inaugural address still hung in the air, a resonant plea for unity in a city still palpably divided. For a few precious hours, a sense of collective relief washed over Washington. The threat of violence, though ever present, had been held at bay. The streets, still thronged with well-wishers, took on a celebratory air. Inside Willard's Hotel, Lincoln allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. The challenges ahead were daunting, the task of guiding a fractured nation seemingly insurmountable.
For me, the successful execution of our security plan brought a sense of grim satisfaction. We had kept our word, protecting Lincoln from those who sought to do him harm.
The transition from president-elect to president did little to diminish the threat to Lincoln's safety. The stakes were higher than ever. The nation, now officially divided, teetered on the brink of war.
I remained a constant presence at Lincoln's side. My team maintained a discreet but ever-present security cordon.
Lincoln gradually came to rely upon Pinkerton's judgment. The detective earned the president's trust. As the weeks turned into months, the threat to Lincoln's safety took on new and insidious forms. The Confederacy, eager to exploit any weakness in the Union's defenses, dispatched spies and saboteurs to Washington. These shadowy figures, their loyalties hidden beneath a veneer of respectability, moved through the capital's social circles, gathering intelligence, spreading disinformation, and plotting acts of sabotage.
My instincts, honed by years of battling criminal enterprises, recognized the danger posed by this new breed of adversary.
He responded by creating a network of counterintelligence operatives, men and women drawn from the shadows, their skills honed in the art of deception and subterfuge.
The battle against Confederate espionage was fought in the shadows, a war of whispers and coded messages, of double agents and daring infiltrations.
For more intriguing stories from history, make sure to follow my channel, Aussie Star. As the Civil War escalated, Pinkerton's role expanded beyond the protection of President Lincoln. Lincoln entrusted him with increasingly sensitive and dangerous missions. Pinkerton embraced this new role with characteristic zeal.
I established a network of spies and informants that stretched from the battlefields to the port cities. These individuals provided invaluable intelligence on Confederate troop movements.
Pinkerton often ventured behind enemy lines himself, gathering intelligence firsthand. His daring exploits earned him admiration and respect.
The Baltimore plot, though often overshadowed by the Civil War, stands as a testament to the dangers faced by Abraham Lincoln.
The plot solidified Allan Pinkerton's reputation as a master detective and strategist.
The Baltimore plot serves as a reminder of the fragility of democracy and the dangers of extremism.
The story, with its heroes and villains, continues to capture the imagination over a century and a half later. The foiling of the Baltimore plot sent shockwaves through a nation teetering on the precipice of war. Newspapers hailed Pinkerton as a hero, his actions a beacon of hope in uncertain times.
Protecting Lincoln, a symbol of unity, resonated deeply with the public.
The plot's exposure warned those who sought to dismantle the Union. It showed Lincoln would confront threats to American democracy.
The assassination attempt shook the nation to its core.
For Lincoln, Baltimore was a crash course in leadership during crisis. Knowing he had enemies willing to murder weighed heavily on him, yet it steeled his resolve to preserve the Union.
The Baltimore plot strengthened Lincoln's position. It rallied support, casting him as a protector of the nation.
As the Civil War raged, Pinkerton's role expanded beyond protecting President Lincoln. He led a network of spies infiltrating Confederate strongholds. However, Pinkerton's wartime record is controversial. His inflated estimates of Confederate troops contributed to early Union defeats. Defenders argue he faced unprecedented challenges. The debate underscores the complexities of wartime intelligence gathering. The Civil War marked a turning point in Allan Pinkerton's career, transforming him into a national figure. His wartime experiences cemented his belief in intelligence gathering and innovative law enforcement.
After the war, Pinkerton's agency became a national institution, pursuing outlaws exploiting Reconstruction. His detectives became a symbol of law and order.
Pinkerton's influence extended beyond law enforcement. His memoirs and stories shaped the image of the American detective. The motto, "We never sleep," became a symbol of relentless justice. The Baltimore plot, with its heroes and villains, continues to captivate over a century and a half later. It speaks to our fascination with courage under pressure and the timeless battle for democracy.
The plot's relevance lies in its historical significance and exploration of democracy's fragility. It reminds us that division and hatred can threaten society at any moment.
The Baltimore plot bridges past and present, showing that challenges faced then are similar to those today.
As we face modern threats, the Baltimore plot reminds us that preserving freedom requires vigilance and courage.